Right, just one second. All right. Okay, well, thank you for being here on this webinar Wednesday. My name is Wendy Bunnell, and I am one of the authors and the collaborator for the upcoming book, Success or Failure, Finding Your Greatest Gifts and Finding Our Greatest Gifts in Our Darkest Hours. And I have with me two of the other authors of this book, just so you kind of know, if you're not familiar with this project, I collaborated 24 women, successful, inspirational women who have really come a long way in their lives, in family and personal and in business and finances. And they've all been able to share their story of how the failures in their life have actually helped get them to where they're at this point. And in many times it's even kind of led them in a different direction, right? So that, you know, I had said earlier before, in our book of success, we will have chapters on failure. And that's just what's going to happen. And so those of you that are just starting your business, just kind of get that in your mind. Have that little bit of a seed of, you know what, there will be challenges, there will be obstacles, and how exciting for me that I get to learn from all of these things, and I get to grow, and I get to become more than what I was before. And I'll tell you what, entrepreneurship is going to be, you will be baptized by fire, right? Or am I right, Wendy and Wylene? Yeah. So it's an amazing ride, but just expect a few bumps along the way. So I have with me tonight, I have Wendy Cunningham, who is live from Nevada, and I have Wylene Benson, who is in Utah right now, right? Just got back from Mexico. And I'll just tell a little smidgen of who these women are, because they're just amazing rock stars. So Wendy is a mother of 3, and she's also, I'll let her share her story, but she's very successful in is it direct sales or network marketing? What do they consider Arbonne?
Network marketing.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm using the right terminology for your organization. She is a very, very high leader. She is one of the highest ranks in Arbonne, and she's just an inspiration. She's just a beautiful person. People want to join her because she's just got that kind of a personality, and people want to join her team. So she's going to kind of talk to us a little bit about if you're in a network marketing company, you're kind of considering that. Maybe some tips and some tricks of how to lead a large organization. Now, Wylene, I met her through an organization called Strongbrook and Limitless, which is all about getting past those limiting beliefs that hold us back from really getting what we want. And I actually use a lot of this information in my own business, Critical to Confident. And so I have learned a tremendous amount from Wylene. And Wylene's a mother. She's been an entrepreneur for years, haven't you, Wylene?
Yeah, probably. Well, I started my first business when I was 13, and I'm 53 now. So I've been entrepreneur for 40 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, while you're talking, Wylene, let's just start with you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, and then why you wanted to be a part of the book Success or Failing, and tell us a little bit about what your definition of success is. So can you start us off?
Yeah, I can definitely start. I was so excited to be part of Success or Failing, just because my chapter, when you get to read that, you'll hear a little bit more about my story, so I won't go into that too much. But I was kind of at a turning point about 3 years ago. I had a heart attack. It was right at the very beginning of February, so I'm coming up on my 3-year anniversary of that. And during the downtime, I had a lot of time to really do some soul searching and figure out, who I am and what I want the next 50 years to look like. I felt like I had a second chance, and it was amazing to me that heart attack really called attention to my heart. And I hadn't realized some of the gifts and the talents that I have. And Wendy, you know me, and so you know me as this person who is very heart-to-heart connective and everything. But I graduated from college as an accountant, and I used to work in my office and I would shut the door, and if anybody stole my pen, I would get mad at them. I was so impatient and just not a very heart-to-heart connective person. And I didn't realize until I had that opportunity to really do some introspecting that I have a gift in that. And I feel like with all of the people that I work with, because I do a lot of private mentoring now and helping people to start businesses, whoever it was that said that they're just starting a business, that's one of my favorite things to do, is to help people launch business. And as I work with them, a lot of people will start a business and they don't really know what their brand is. They don't know how to brand themselves or how to set themselves apart. They're just, they're maybe passionate about something, but they don't know how to make themselves different so that people will want to buy from them. And that's what I love to do, is I love to really get into their hearts and really see that genius inside. And I didn't even realize that I had a gift in that until something drew my attention to, my heart. And that's what I found with working with people, is that a lot of times people will look at something as a weakness within themselves, or something they wish they could change, or something that they don't want anybody to know about them. Maybe they, are a really good communicator, but when they were a kid, they were constantly told, why do you have to be so chatty? Why can't you, just be quiet? And so they find they make decisions about themselves that maybe they're not a good communicator, because they talk too much or something. But really, if you flip it around and look at it for what it really is, it's a total gift. It's their gift to humanity. And so that's what I love to do, is help people to really kind of rediscover themselves, find out who they are at the core. And especially if you're running a business, that is how you brand yourself. That's how you set yourself apart. When you find out what you are truly gifted at, then people will naturally want to work with you, because everything that you do, the way that you serve people, is also feeding you, because you're showing up in your gift.
Oh, thank you so much, Wylene. That was beautiful. In fact, I do a lot of webinars for a lot of direct sales and network marketers and their teams. And one of the things that we talk about is playing on their strengths. So you bring that up.
Yeah.
And I share a story about myself when I was in the beginnings of a network marketing company. And I started at the same time as another woman, and we both were just climbing the ranks. We were just growing really, really fast, and it was really fun. But all of a sudden I plateaued, and she just skyrocketed above me. And so I kept calling her and saying, what are you doing? What are you doing? I want to do exactly what you're doing. And she was doing a lot of things online. And at that time, that was not my skill set. Okay. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have been able to do this call at that point in my life, right? Okay, it would not have happened. And so I put everything that I was doing on hold, and I just totally focused on growing my business online. And my business went like that, okay? Like seriously, fell flat on my face. And I learned a really amazing lesson. Now, it took me 18 months to try and finally figure out, Wendy, this is not your skill set. This is not your genius, okay? Like, will you please wake up and figure out that you're better off, in groups of people, connecting with people, right? And so the moment I did that, I started going back up. So I love that you really take those strengths, you get to the core of who they are. I used to get in trouble all the time for speaking too much in class. I get in trouble all the time, and now I get paid to speak.
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly.
So anyways, so Wendy, tell us too, why did you decide that you wanted to write a chapter in the Success or Failing book? And then tell us, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then also tell us, what is your definition of success?
Okay, I'm 33 and I do live in Nevada, and I'm a mom of 3 young kids. I'm kind of right in the middle of it. I have a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old. So I'm right in the thick of the motherhood stuff. And gosh, when you reached out to me about authoring this and were telling me about the project, I just thought it was such a fantastic idea. Like we talked about before we started the recording, I thought this book will serve so many people because of the idea, the concept. And initially, you know, when I was just kind of thinking about what I might contribute, I was thinking about the failures in my business and the obstacles that are inevitable in building a business. But my chapter isn't about my business at all. My chapter is about all the stuff I went through before I ever stepped foot into Arbonne. And gosh, I've always wanted to be an author. Writing is such a passion. And I just think it's so hilarious that God was like, this is the way you're going to have to do it. You're going to have to be incredibly vulnerable and drudge up all the stuff that you put in the past and it's behind you. And, you know, I just don't even revisit that part because it's done, it's over. And what I realized as I was kind of thinking it through again and putting my chapter together, that, man, it's an important story that, you know, my sister just read it and she said, more people are going to relate to this than you think, which is unfortunate and yet empowering at the same time. But gosh, I just knew that this was going to be such a good project. And I knew that if this is my way to enter into the authoring world, then through the crazy vulnerable part, then I'll do it. And gosh, my definition of success, I think it's kind of undefinable for so many. I used to think that it was, you know, when you're making X amount of money or when you've achieved a certain status or you're living in a certain neighborhood, or, you know, I used to think of it in really defined ways. And now I see that it's not that way at all. It's very personal. And for me, it's defined by what I didn't think I could do and did. The times that I've stretched beyond, you know, where I thought my limit was or my comfort zone, or, you know, when I've achieved things that I just wasn't even sure I could do. And certainly I think on the greater scale, I always live with the end in mind. What will I have done for other people? What will have been my ripple while I was here? Or we talk about the dash between your birth date and your end date. You know, what do you do with your dash? And for me, that's the definition of success, is what did you do? What were you able to leave? Who were you able to impact and influence? So that's my continued work in progress on that definition of success. But I think it has a couple of meanings for me.
I love that. Thank you so much. And I've noticed that almost every woman that is part of this book, we talked about their definition of success. And I think for all of us, it's kind of evolved over time. Originally, the vision board had the big house and it had the Mercedes Benz and all of those things. And at the end of the day, as you're getting to get those things, you recognize that it's just the moment, the everyday moment where you can feel peace and happiness right now. And if you're enjoying the journey along the way, that's really where you're going to find that joy and that peace, right? And that success. So success can be right now. You guys that are just starting a brand new business, you can find joy in your life and joy in your business right now. It doesn't have to be when you get that great big fancy house. You need to identify your why, obviously, because otherwise you're not going to want to get through those really hard times. But at the same time, success really can be attained at any moment. I'm seeing kids bouncing behind people, you know, as they're watching this, and I'm loving it because you know what? That's what it's all about, right? It's all about finding joy in the present moment. I love seeing moms doing multiple things, you know, and they can get it all done. So my next question is, and I texted you guys this a little bit earlier because it's a question I keep getting over and over from my coaching clients, is how do you press forward when you're very first starting in a business? How do you keep the fire ignited in yourself because really you're in the trenches when you're first starting the business, right? You're working harder, you're working longer, you're not getting paid the money. You're most of us, especially if we're going into entrepreneurship, we're wanting to have more time, right? Like we do this because we're like, oh, then we'll get residual income and I'll have more time. But at the beginning, we're giving away time, right? So how do you get your mindset in a place where you can forge through that more difficult time at the beginning stages? And if you are already starting and you're starting to get leaders under you, how do you keep them motivated and willing to kind of stay through those really tough times? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Wendy, do you want to start with that, and then I'll get Wylene to answer it too?
Sure. Gosh. So just to speak to when you first start, when you're first walking into it, I think that plugging in is so critical, making that you're connected to, the people that are above you. In the case of network marketing, your upline, people who have been where you want to go. Read, man, that was something I did not embrace early on in my journey because I didn't think I had time. Personal development reading is such a make or break thing in entrepreneurship because you won't outgrow yourself. Your business won't outgrow your growth as a person. So, that is such a big piece of what, got me over humps, was just to recognize that it's a normal struggle. And that's exactly what I try to get new people to understand when they're coming in, because it feels like I must be the only one walking through this, or I must be the only one struggling with this. And it's not the case at all. Everybody struggles with really the same things. When people come into this, there's usually 3 or 4 or 5 hesitations, that make people weary of getting started and jumping in. And those hesitations continue to be the thing that kind of plague them at the beginning. And there's just a handful for everybody there. It's the same stuff. It's the same struggle. And I also just try to remind people, myself included, that you will be so grateful for the journey that is uniquely yours to walk, because it makes you who you need to be. And if you don't walk through the struggle, you can't teach anyone about anything. You can't teach anyone behind you how to get through anything if you don't go through it. So it's all part of your conditioning. It's all part of the training. It's all part of the process. It's part of paying your dues. But yeah, it's just normal is what I really try to instill in people. And, sometimes I feel like a little bit of a therapist, but really you just need to be an ear, I think, for people to kind of just vent to you and get it out of their heart, so that now it's over and you can say, you know what, it's okay that you're feeling that way. And that's really normal. And here's how you can walk through that. Or, half the time I'm saying, oh man, that's not the last time that's going to happen to you. I'm sorry to say, but you got to just keep going, because what you started this for is worth it and it is attainable. And just, I don't have any special skills. I don't have any pixie dust that you don't have that makes me capable when you're not. I just did it. I just did it before you, but you're going to do it as well. So that's what I try to instill.
Love it. So Wylene, you have been an entrepreneur since you were 13, and I know you've done multiple businesses, right? So, getting that airplane off the ground takes the very much, the most exertion. And then once you get up there, there's a little bit more. You're still plugging along, right? You're not losing momentum. But so tell me, can you answer that question? How do you get through those really challenging days as you're starting your business or helping someone else do that?
Yeah, I really echo what Wendy was saying, that I think leading by example is really, really powerful, because when your leaders or your followers, the people that are wanting to be leaders within your team or organization, or your employees or whoever, that has some aspirations to be a little bit higher, that because you've walked the walk, because you've actually done the steps, so you actually have something that they can hang on to. And you stuck with it, and so it kind of inspires them to stick with it as well. I do have a couple of things I just jotted down while Wendy was sharing that I would like to share, and one of them is holding a vision. And a lot of times when people first start in their business, they don't even really know what they want. They just are taking a leap of faith, and they're stepping away from a job, or they're thinking, I want to be my own boss. I want to be able to write my own paycheck and, determine how much I want to make and all of that. But they don't really know what the vision is. They don't, maybe they've got that vision board that has the Mercedes-Benz, but they really don't want a Mercedes-Benz. That's just, they don't really know what they want. And so for a brand new person, if you as a leader can hold a vision for them, if you can reach within their hearts and help them determine and discover what it is that they really want, if you can have them articulate that and get it up on a vision board, that to me is one of the most powerful things, is having a vision, something that you can, an intention that you are working towards. And on those tough days, you can go back and look at your vision board. And I do what I call a GPS every morning. And it stands for grounding, prayer, and scriptures. And my grounding is just like a meditation. I look at my vision board, I sit down, and I will just close my eyes and get myself in a really grounded and peaceful state. And then I'll just ask a couple questions. Who needs what I have to offer today? And I'll just listen. And invariably, I'll get one or two names, or, a picture will come into my mind of a couple of faces. And those are the people that I contact that day. The other question that I ask is, what is my next step? What is the most important next step that I can take right now while I'm visualizing, while I've got this vision in my mind? I'm asking, what is the most important next step for me to attain this, whatever it is that I want? And again, the next step will come, and you will be so surprised at how simple it is, how doable it is, and it's something that you can actually do that day. And you might not be able to complete it that day. Like for you, Wendy, you were on the plane and you got this huge download. That's usually the way it comes. And of course, you're not going to accomplish writing a book in one day, but you started the process. You knew what the next step was to get that process started. And you've got that vision out there of having that book completed. So those would be, the two main most important things, I think, is to, first of all, leading by example. And then the other thing is having that vision and holding on to it. And I'll kind of add one more thing to that. This has been my experience, is that every single experience that happens every day, everything that happens is a preparation. It is preparing you for something that is to come. And if we can look at it that way, there is no failure, there's no bad day, there's nothing. Everything, when I look back over my years, every single thing that has happened has helped prepare me for the next thing. And I used to get about 2 weeks notice. I noticed when I would do my meditation, when I do my, G stands for grounding, P stands for prayer, and S stands for scriptures. Because I get tutored a lot through the scriptures and through prayer. So I call that GPS, and that's my instruction for the day. That takes me where I need to go. But I used to get about 2 weeks notice. I would get some inspiration, and if I took action on it immediately, then about 2 weeks later, I would be like, oh, I'm so glad I took action on that when I got that, inspiration, because now I'm prepared for this thing that came 2 weeks later. Now it's only about 2 days. I think I've proven that I take action immediately when something is given to me. And so I don't have to wait 2 weeks now. Now I get new opportunities that come up just a couple days later. Just yesterday, I believe it was, I was in a meeting, and one of my mentors was up speaking, and he was like almost word for word, he was saying the things that I had gotten in my meditation just 2 days before. And I was racking my brain. I was thinking, did I email that to him? Did I tell him what was, because he's one of my mentors, and I'll share some things with him. And I seriously had not sent it to him, but because I was prepared a couple of days before, when this new message came to me, I was like, I'm on board. I'm totally on board. I didn't have to give any thought or any time to trying to wrap my mind around it or figure it out if I wanted to be on board with this new opportunity or whatever. I'd already been prepared for it 2 days later or 2 days earlier. And I was like, yes, I'm in. I didn't even have to think about it. I know I'm in. So that would be the other thing that I would recommend, is just act immediately. So leading by example, holding your vision, and then acting immediately on those questions that you ask.
I love that. And Wylene, a couple of the people that are on tonight have also been through some of my 5-week coaching programs. So they already know that we do a morning routine, right?
Awesome.
And one of the things that we do, one of the ways that I get into that inspiration really well, that's really helpful for me. And I think each person can kind of see what works for them. But mine is also being and you probably do this through your prayer, but is really being in a place of gratitude. Because when gratitude, it's actually, we're scientifically, if you want to put it that way, we're actually in a higher vibration, and we are in a place where we can receive more ideas. Things can flow to us, right? And so if you feel stuck at all in your business or in your life, your relationships, your financial abundance, when you get into that place of gratitude, you can actually start receiving those answers a lot easier. And so that's one of the things that we work on and practice on every single day is starting the day in gratitude. And at some point, since you guys are going to be on this list, I'll send you my gratitude exercise where I actually do a guided kind of gratitude, just to get people used to how to really be in that place. It's not just, I'm grateful for my family and I'm grateful for my friends. And, it's really getting your heart and your mind in that place of true gratitude of what you have right now. And that's when all of the answers, because every solution is only an idea away. We only have to have an idea to get to the next level in our business or next level in our life. And when we're in that space of gratitude or meditation or just quieting the mind, right? Quiet the mind and the soul will speak. Then we can get those answers, right?
Yeah.
So I thank you so much for sharing that.
Wendy, can I just add one more thing about gratitude? I appreciate you saying that, because when I ask for that next step, how many of you know that, a lot of times when you ask for a next step, you'll get it, and immediately like you go to fear or doubt, or I don't know if I can do that, or oh, that can't be it because it sounds too simple, or maybe that's too hard, or whatever it is. We have all these different things that go into our minds and creates a struggle. But if we can find gratitude in all of those thoughts, if I have the thought that, wow, I don't know enough to take that next step, then I know immediately that was a gift. It was telling me I need to find somebody, or I need to find a resource that will help me take that next step. And then if you'll ask, who is that person that can help me take that next step, then you've opened up a new relationship that will invariably lead you to that vision that you're wanting to create. But if we resist it and say, oh, this is making me feel stuck, I'm not grateful because I've got, fear, I'm not grateful for the fear or whatever, but finding the gratitude in that fear or doubt or whatever it comes, because that is just a total gift of this is what you need to fix before you can move on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think especially becoming an entrepreneur, you really start to understand that your external world is a reflection of what's going on inside, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So if you aren't liking what you're seeing, then it starts here. It starts inside. It starts with that internal dialogue. It starts with the inside thoughts and recognizing the gratitude in all those situations. And so you'll notice, guys, as you follow along with these 25 amazing women that I have such, I've been so honored to be a part of their world and their lives, is that is what they concentrate on. The skill set's very important. I don't want to say, and the action absolutely has to happen, but it starts with that internal world, that internal dialogue. And then you start to see momentum in your business. You start to get the ideas. You start to get the people in your life that line up so perfectly. In fact, I asked the other question yesterday, Wylene, I asked a question. I was like, okay, I need to do this for our book and our launch and our event. I need help in this area. What do I do next? And all of a sudden, bam, a friend called me about an hour later and said, I want to introduce you to this woman. I think she could really help you. And guess what? She's going to help us. Awesome. So it's just amazing how that all works. So then the last question I want to ask, Wendy, would you answer, if you could give someone that secret sauce, that pixie dust, and I know that it doesn't exist, but if you could only give one bit of advice to someone who's in business or who wants to start a business, or they just want to grow in their own personal development, what would that be? What advice would you give them?
I think there is a little bit of a secret sauce, although it's not as secretive as you might think. It's just start and then don't stop. That is, when I see the, I don't want to say turnover, but when I see people come into business or start down the path that is entrepreneurship, which involves, it's so much personal development. You can't avoid it. No one is all the way developed when they start any journey, right? So that it can be, painful. It can bring up stuff. It can, can be confronting, and there's all kinds of things that go on. But I really, when I look back at what it was for me and what it is for so many people that I see that do find success in what they're pursuing, is they started. They didn't look back, and they didn't ever stop. They just kept doing it despite the obstacles. And I think people are surprised at obstacles. And I think that sometimes even it feels like, oh, maybe this is a sign that I'm not supposed to be going this way. And I'm like, no, it's if anything, it's a sign that you should be going this way. These are the things that sharpen you. These are the things that develop your character. These are the things that strengthen you for everything else that's coming your way in life. These are blessings, and man, I just was watching a seminar with Tony Robbins and Eric Worre and some amazing speakers and names. And Eric Worre was saying, it's for network marketers, it's one of our biggest obstacles is how frequently we hear no and how much we internalize that. And he said, oh my gosh, it's the biggest blessing in network marketing, because could you imagine if everybody said yes, how little they'd be able to pay us? Like they would, they wouldn't be able to uphold the industry if everybody said yes. And our former president used to say, if it were easy, it'd be sleazy. And same concept, right? I mean, it would be so cheap. It would be such a cheap opportunity if it were easy. You wouldn't, it wouldn't warrant the financial payout. It wouldn't warrant the personal development payout. And, when you look back at your story and your life, we're not writing a book about success without failure. Like, there isn't that. It doesn't exist, and it wouldn't be compelling. It wouldn't be a good book.
Right. Yeah, it would be boring. Any story, think about every single story out there. Any cool story has major highs and lows. If it was all rosy, it would be boring. Yeah, and I love that, Wendy, because that great story of that warrior that I don't want to go through the whole synopsis, but we've all heard burning the boat, right?
I love it.
That great warrior that went in, and his men were scared to death of actually winning that. Everybody had been defeated up until that point. And so his men said, what should I do? What should I do? How are we going to beat these people? And he said, I want you to go out and burn the boats. And they were like, what are you talking about? Burn the boats. And he's like, no, I want you to burn the boats, because there was no turning back. And I think that is such an important thing. There's no, once you identify your why and what you're going to do, you burn those boats. And there's no turning back, because you are going to plow through. You're going to make it happen, right? So thank you, Wendy. Wylene, how about you? What's your secret sauce?
My secret sauce that I want to share with you tonight, I have several things that I could share, but the one that came to me was kind of a surprising realization that it's probably been a couple of years that this came to me in one of my meditations, one of my GPS sessions. And I just noticed that my battery is running low, so I hope I don't get cut off.
You better hurry with that secret sauce, Wylene.
Anyway, is what I call the leap of love. And it came to me, first of all, it was the leap of leverage, and that was that I saw other people as a means for me to be able to perpetuate my success. And it might sound a little bit negative, but what I did was I went to people and I asked them to show up in their highest and best self and to be able to serve me in a way that I wasn't able to show up for myself. And so bringing them in and me showing up 100% for them And so rather than feeling like I was using them as leverage, I was actually seeing them in unconditional love for the genius that they were inside and asking them to show up in 100% the best that they could in that gift that they have. So I was able to help them identify their gifts, and I invited them to show up 100%. And then I did the same for them. And for me, when I realized that, that was really what took my success to the next level was, because you can only do so much yourself before you need to invite other people in.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Wylene. And that is so true. How many times do we think that we've, for whatever reason, to prove to ourselves we can, or to because we don't want to ask other people for help, but successful business women have a team. They don't do it themselves, right? We cannot do this ourselves. And I think you get to a point where you can do certain things up to a certain level in your life. But if you want to take it to the next level, you absolutely have to have people. In network marketing, it's your leaders. In an entrepreneurial situation, I know I can get to a certain number, I could get up to, in fact, I'll tell you the number for me, it was about $45,000. I was able to get to $45,000 all by myself. And then in order for me to get to the next income level, I absolutely had to have other people helping me. I had to have assistants. I had to have people. You only have so much time and so much space in your world. You have to have other people helping you and being okay with asking for help, right? And then also, if your business doesn't include uplines, getting a mentor, getting a coach, getting someone that is going to help you to get through those hard times, and identifying the why, identifying and reminding you about what your why is when it's getting tough, right? So those are some of the secret sauces that I have to share tonight. But I'm just going to ask anybody out there if they have any questions that came up for them before I'm going to kind of sum everything up and then award our Bed Bath & Beyond gift card tonight for one of the lucky people that are on tonight. Is there anything in particular? Is there any questions that you would love to ask one of these beautiful ladies? They really are truly successful in not just their business world, but they're beautiful women. They really do things out of the kindness of their heart. They're just loving. They're wonderful connectors. They've got an amazing family, and that is their first priority. It's just been wonderful to get to know these women. So they're not. It's not just that they're amazing business women. They're really successful in their own life. But I'm sure at the same time, we're all hot messes some days, right, guys? Right?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. There are many. So it's not all a bed of roses still, right? Even when you get to a place where you're doing pretty well in your life overall, there's still lots of days where we think, oh, my land. Like today, you guys, I did not get ready till 4 p.m. I just want you all to know that. I was in yoga pants till 4 p.m. this afternoon because
I'm in yoga pants right now.
Oh, yes. Look, she's got that cute little, she's totally deceiving us. We would never know that.
It's all smoke and mirrors.
Oh, that's right. Like, oh yeah, everything's great. Just don't look below here. So, no.
Hey, Wendy, I know my computer's probably just going to be shutting down in just a second. So if anybody does have any specific questions for me, you're welcome to reach out to me. My website is wylenebenson.com, WYLENEBENSON.com. So if I do have to drop off, if anybody's got questions, just contact me there, and I'd be happy to chat with you.
Love it. Yeah, and if you want to get connected to any of us, if you go on the overall website, successorfailing.com, you'll see all of our biographies, and we all have links to our own personal websites too there. And we would love for you guys to follow us along as we go through this journey. Our book is actually going to be available electronically on January 17th, and it will be, the hard copy is going to be available on let's see, February 4th. Oh, I do have a question. And so we'll ask Wendy just in case Wylene falls off. But so Erica wants to know what your money mindsets are like for accepting money. So Erica, can you chat in there and just give us a little bit like accepting money in terms of like asking for money? Is that what you're asking? Like if you're selling a product and you're having a hard time accepting money, is that what you're saying? Because I know that is a mindset or a belief or story that I hear a lot is people have a hard time. They talk about their product, but then they have, like in mentoring and coaching, asking for people to purchase your product and being okay with that. Okay. So Wendy, why don't you answer it, and then I'll do a quick, I'll tell her my version of my mindset, but why don't you answer that question?
That might be more for you. I don't really take money for mentoring or coaching.
You could do it with your product though, because I think it's the same thing. You're asking, really all money is a form of exchange. So when you are getting to the point where you're ready to ask for money, what is the mindset behind that for you?
Okay. So I think it's all about value, right? And explaining or helping the other person understand the value of what you're offering. And, in the case of what I offer, it's health and wellness products, which when, the healthier you get, the more pricey things get sometimes. And, I always use the example of Whole Foods being the fastest growing chain in America, and it's the most expensive grocery store you can go into. So people understand the value when they shop there. And that's my job as well, is to explain the value of what I have to offer and why, it costs money or costs what it costs, or, just being that piece of education for them and explaining that, making that connection and why that may or may not be a priority to them. And then always leaving it in a place of non-pressuring. This is something I have to offer. It's not something I want to convince anyone to do or need. If, there's plenty of people that will find priority in the product or priority in mentoring and coaching. People will find value in that. And our job isn't to convince people to find value in it. Our job is to explain the value and then find the people whose priorities align with that. So I think that makes me feel like it's never a motivation that's coming from me, or a pressure situation that's coming from me. It's always somebody accepting and seeing the value in what I have to offer.
I love that. And in terms of myself, Erica, I oftentimes will give away some of my mentoring and coaching for free so that people can get a taste of what I do, of what kind of value I can bring the organization. In fact, Wendy, I teamed up with Wendy at one point and did a free webinar for her people, her leaders that needed, just a little bit more support in the mindset arena. And those that wanted more hand-holding understood the value of what I could give them. And then at that point, I'll tell you what, there needs to be an even exchange of value. I used to at one point just want to give everything away for free. And I recognize that people, if you give something away for free all the time, too many distractions happen and it's not of value to them. And so if they put a little money on the line, there's an even exchange of value. I'm giving them great content and great information and life-changing skills that are going to change their life, their personal life, their financial abundance, all of those things. But they also need to put a little skin in the game. Okay. And it's okay to ask for that because what I'm giving is valuable and they're not going to take that seriously if I'm just giving it away for free, right? And my time is valuable too. And I respect myself. And I think as you get more confidence too, you'll start to be able to know that what you're giving them is a huge blessing in their life. And so it's okay for them to pay and give you an exchange for that information. So hopefully that was helpful. But if you have more questions, Erica, go ahead and if there was any one of us that you feel could answer that question in greater detail, go ahead and go to the successthroughfailing.com website or on the Facebook page, and you can message us back and forth, or you can email us, however you'd like to communicate. So let's give away the gift card now. So I'm going to ask a question. And whoever can chat the answer to me first will get that $25 gift card. So what was Wendy Cunningham's secret sauce? Are you furiously doing it? Okay, let's see who comes up first. Can you guys remember? Personal growth? Yes. Chelsea, you got it. Start, but then don't stop. You got it, Chelsea. Woo, woo, woo. So, Chelsea, I think you know Wendy, right? So I just need to get this one is not an electronic gift card. It's a physical, tangible card. So I'll have to mail it to you. So just somehow get me your address. How's that? You can message me. You can give it to Wendy and she can get it to me, but we'll get it to you. So, I truly appreciate you guys. I want you to remember you're part of the 5 percentile club. Okay. I always say this because 95% of the population believes that fate just happens and that they don't have the means to create the life that they want. But you being here tonight tells me you're part of the 5%. Which means that you do believe that you have the ability to create the life that you want. And so I honor you for being here. I honor you for hearing and being present and listening and absorbing the information. We'll have this recorded, so if you want to go over any of the content, please feel free to. We're going to be doing these every Wednesday night until our launch on February 4th. And then we will be doing a success summit where we're all going to be speaking and having lots of entertainment, just really amazing personal development on February 4th in Sandy, Utah. For those outside of Utah, it will be live streamed. So you can always check out the tickets. It's successthroughfailing.ticketleap.com. So go check those out. And I appreciate everybody being here tonight. And I guess that's it. That's a wrap for tonight.
Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you, guys. Thanks,
Thank
Wendy.
you.